so we know you came on. For those of you that are just joining, remember to drop in the chat a hello so that I know that you're here and I can interact with you throughout this time. Lisa, hello. So happy you're here. First time either was jumping on a live in general. I know these couple of the ladies. But if it happens to be your first time, my name is Candace Fears. I am the host here in your community. And again, for those of you that are just joining, please do say hello in the chat so that I can interact with you throughout this time. And here, just to give you something to help support you along your journey. So those of you that are new, you will often see help you on your journey. And I usually come here and talk about it. So the biggest thing is ownership, owning your time, your talent, and your identity. And I want to help you to do that in any way possible, whether it's you being here in the group or one of the programs help you. The more we win, the more we win. So the month of March, we are talking about full-time entrepreneur myths. Okay, we've had some juicy ones. We talked about health insurance. And those of you that are in the chat, if you're on any of the other lives and can remember what we talked about, please go ahead and drop on about replacing the paycheck, that type of thing. So today's live, we're going to talk about that statement. It's risky to start my own thing. Starting my own thing, man, that is risky. Now, if you have ever said that, if you've ever made that comment, just give me a set it in the chat. To start my own thing, to do my own thing, to go out on my own and to leave the security of a paycheck. Oh, that's a risk. So here's the thing. I recall having this same line of thinking, right? These same thoughts running through my head. I think about 9 years ago? 10 years ago? Time is passing. 9 or 10 years ago, whenever it was, when I had my catering and events business, intention back then was, okay, I'm getting this business off the ground. This is going to be my exit plan. I am leaving, I'm raising this business up. Or even at that, as much as I was, I want to go, I want to get out, I had this thought process in my head that was reinforced by others. Risky. Why would you leave the comfort of a good job to go and do your own thing? So here's the thing that I want you to think about. This really had to shift for me. By the way, if there are any comments streaming through, I can't see all of them. But here's something that I really had to think about and adjust. When you think about one phrase, what are the things, or let's call it a question, what are the things that I can control? Let's think about the day job, right? The 9 to 5. And then let's think about your own business. Now, you all could probably come up with a number of things. And in fact, that is what I want you to do for homework. We'll talk about that in a second. But when I sat down and started thinking about what I can control, in my 9 to 5, I guess I can control, my energy, what I bring to my work, right? The level of excellence that I bring to my work. And then when I started thinking about the things that weren't in my control, that maybe I thought was in my control, just mentally it felt, it's in my control. One of the things that is in my, I choose to be at the job. That's an important thing in your control. But the things that weren't in my control were actually fairly meaningful. And when I thought about it, they were fairly risky. So what's not in my control is what they pay me. That wasn't really in my control. We have negotiated promotion and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, not in my control. Whether or not my role still existed, right, and hung around, or maybe it would take a different shape. Maybe it wouldn't be the same next month or in the next 6 months or in the next year. Not in my control. When I started thinking about those things, those are some pretty intense things to not be in my control. Pretty intense. About risk. At this point in time, my job can go away, my income can go away. Those are the big things that you're typically worried about as a full-time entrepreneur. Not in my control as an employee. Now, we move over to the entrepreneur column and begin to do a little bit of a comparison there, right? So what I get paid, spend working in my control. Okay. Whether or not I choose to do this particular thing that I'm now or do something different, in my control. So when you start to just sit back and think about what's really in my control. I like to associate risk and control together. So is that making sense? And Aline, I'm not sure if I'm saying right, but welcome. Is it making sense what I'm saying about just that level of risk and level of control? So if it is making sense or whatever in the chat so that I know that you're with me. So when we think about that, the less control I have, the riskier it is. Now, put that lens on. Being at the mercy of someone's control and your paycheck, your time, your role, the work you do, all this stuff, that sounds a whole lot riskier than having your own thing and having the control. So here's another one of those things where I just want you to wrap your head around. I see at least the idea of risk, because there's a lot of things that can be controlled. Now, do you necessarily know how to control them? That's a different question, right? You'll always only have some level. Ladies in the accelerator, now I always say, building a business is systemic because that's the truth, right? It's a combination of having something that people want, being able to reach enough of those people, you put it together. It's systemic. So when you talk about that myth, it's risky to start my own thing. Let it go because it's not the truth. So here's what I want you to do from a homework perspective. And Latanya, welcome. So glad that you're on here. So here's what I want you to do and think about from a homework perspective. I want you to go ahead, make it tangible. I've got my little notebook here. Go ahead and put like a line, draw a line right down the middle of a page. And I want you to put, this is what I control. So on one side, so make your left column your day job, your 9 to 5 job. Put your right column as your business, right? The column over as your business. And at the top, and just go ahead and write down for yourself. So what do you control at your job today? And what do you control in your business? And the reason I want to have you write it down, again, I tell you all this connection. We are rewiring things. It's so important that you can physicalize it, right? If you can't instantly grasp onto it and say, oh, okay, I get it. Well, and here's a way to make it real for yourself. So that's what I want you to do so that you can let go of that myth so that it doesn't keep you from taking the action. It allows you to be more in control than not. Okay? All right. So if you guys are with me, so that's all I essentially have for you today. But if that makes sense, I heard from Lisa that makes sense. If that makes sense to you, just drop me a sense. Anybody with like a, what? Wait, what? Wait a second. Rerun that. Run it back. If it makes sense, just drop a sense in the chat. Makes sense. Something like that so that I know. Angel, welcome. So drop it so that I know things happening between my... Not to worry, Angel, you will be able to go back and watch the replay. So go ahead, take this action, all right? Very important. You're in a riskier position than... So when you say it's risky to start my own thing, know the truth of the matter. Go ahead and do that homework and execute that homework. Like I would love to hear, and I'm sure the other ladies inside of this group would love to hear, if you had any ahas or like what happened if light bulbs went off, intensity on something you already knew and realized or whatever it is. You have to understand that you all sharing the light bulbs, the, oh, I took this, encouraging to the ladies that are already. So that's all I have for you all today. Hope you have a great day, evening, whenever, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you all next Thursday.